already in the chat. We're going to be doing the beef first. So if you want, just have your seasonings and your you can go ahead and turn it on, be preheating your pan and all that. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our ground beef into the pan. Let's spray the pan just a little bit. Ground beef naturally releases a lot of oil, but just so it doesn't stick, we're just gonna spray the pan some. And here is the beef. Everybody show your beef. Beef. We got the beef here. We'll go ahead and put it in.
Wait, what are we making?
Huh?
What are we making?
We are making taco salad. Who was that?
Okay.
Let's who's all on the call? Does everyone say hello and where you're from? Are we cooking the beef? Hi. Hello, ladies.
How you doing? I'm from Birmingham, 205. Feel me?
Okay.
Hey, I feel you. Yeah, I'm from Etowah, but I lived in the Ham and the Gump.
He lives in the
And the Gump.
Cool. All right. After you say where you're from, make sure you mute the phone again so that we can all hear what's going on.
Birmingham.
Hey, Birmingham.
Hey, Chelsea.
I like
Jackson.
your t-shirt. Okay, so right now, guys, we are browning the beef. We're gonna go ahead and start chopping it up. You can just use whatever your utensil you're cooking with to chop it, okay?
Okay.
And y'all have to excuse my dog in the background, I'm sorry. Okay, so whenever you're cooking ground beef, you always want to make sure you cook it through and through. So you don't want any red because you can get sick that way. So just always keep that in mind. You want it to be completely brown. Alrighty. So we're gonna go ahead and start adding some of our seasoning. So some people, in which I do this sometimes too, but I've found that having the seasonings that you would usually get in a taco meat pack, having like the individual seasonings on hand and making your own seasoning, it tastes better for one, and then you can like adjust the flavor the way you like. So I have cumin and chili powder, which these two seasonings are always going to be in taco meat, like it's a given. And then garlic powder and onion powder. If you want to, you can add fresh onions to your taco meat, but we're going to use the powder. We got the basics, salt and pepper. And I'm going to add a little cayenne pepper for spiciness. If you have this, great. If you don't, it's okay. Alrighty. So the first thing that we want to do is go ahead and add our garlic powder. So I don't know if y'all remember in the other videos, I was saying how like I'm a garlic fanatic. I go crazy for garlic. I'm gonna add, let's see, usually, disclaimer also, I would just sprinkle my seasoning, into my food. And I just eye it. And some of you probably cook like that. The more you cook, the more you can just eye how much seasoning you want to put in your food. But to start off, I just wanted to give you guys some measurement just to help guide you if you're not used to cooking. So let's start with a half a teaspoon of garlic. We're going to go ahead and put that in our pan. Okay. And now let's do a half a teaspoon of onion powder. We're going to go ahead and throw that in. Just a tip about measuring with, teaspoons and tablespoons. You don't have to measure exactly. The only time you have to measure exactly is when you're baking. You want the measurements to be close to as possible because baking is more of a science. So when your measurements are correct, you're more likely to get the results that you want. But with using, teaspoons and tablespoons for just basic cooking like this, it doesn't have to be smooth across the top of the teaspoon or exact. Okay, now we're going to do 1 tablespoon of chili powder. This is what's going to give us a lot of flavor. And then we're also going to do 1 tablespoon of cumin. I'm just going to mix that in to our meat. Okay. And we want to add some salt and pepper. So let's do about a half a teaspoon of salt. With salt, remember, it's always better to add less in the beginning because you can add more as you need it. You don't want to oversalt your food. Plus, too much salt is just not good for you. So, and then a half a teaspoon of pepper. We're going to go ahead and stir that in. Okay, so now I just want to add a little bit of water to the pan. I have a 1/3 cup measuring cup right here. I'm going to fill it up with water and add it to the pan. And I hope you guys can see what the beef looks like. I don't know. At this point.
It looks delicious.
Come here, Haley.
How much water do we put in there?
I put a 1/3 cup of water.
Let me
Okay,
see
thank
say.
Let me see.
Hey!
Haley said it smells good, so I must be doing something right.
Good. So on my end, I'm still seeing a few little red pieces. So we want to cook this maybe for another 5 minutes or so. Because remember, we want to always get all that red out. So you'll probably want to let yours cook a little longer too, since we all started at the same time. I got me a fork. Y'all can grab a little tasting fork. I want to taste it and make sure it's seasoned well. Part of the reason why I chose this recipe was because I wanted to take some time to, talk to you guys afterwards. So it's not a big time-consuming recipe. But also, when you're living on your own, recipes like this are affordable and they stretch. So you can eat on this for, if you're like living by yourself, you can eat on this for about a week. That's usually how it happens for me if I eat it for dinner every day or lunch every day. And then you can do different stuff with the meat. You can take the meat and some of your vegetables, you can put it in an omelet. You can, if you have tortillas and stuff, you can put them in a tortilla instead of using your chips. So you can get creative with your meat. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try this. If you guys want, taste it on your end, see how you like the flavor and see if there's anything you want to add or take away. Well, you can't take anything away, but you know what I mean. Anything you want to add. So mine tastes good, but I do want to add a little more chili powder. So I'm gonna do about a tablespoon of chili powder.
How many tomatoes do you? How many tomatoes do you add? How many tomatoes do you cut up?
So it just depends on how many people you're cooking for. How many people are you cooking for?
6.
6. Okay. And are they large regular tomatoes or aroma tomatoes? Like those? Okay, so I don't know, maybe do about 2 tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Since that's a topping, you really don't need like a whole lot of it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep. Okay, guys. So my beef is ready. Is everybody's beef ready? Just say yes or no, and then mute your phone.
No.
No. Okay. You need more time.
Our meat's done.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Our meat's done. We just don't have the onions and tomatoes.
No, your meat's done.
My meat's done. You said just the meat. Oh, the meat's done.
All right.
I'm
So it
actually
looks like
not
we're just
cooking
waiting
right now.
on waiting on him to finish his meat.
I'm actually not.
It's okay. You taking notes? You can make this later. Okay. All righty. So we're just waiting on one person.
Yeah, man. Y'all had to wait on me. It's gonna be a little minute, It's gonna be a little.
Okay.
I mean, we already know how to make it. We good, but I'm just saying it's gonna be a little minute.
Okay.
You go ahead with your class.
Alrighty then. All right. So y'all, I'm gonna take my meat off the eye, and I'm gonna move my camera over to the island so we can start the next part. So bear with me just a second, okay? All right. So we got our taco meat over there. This recipe is intended to be more like a salad. When we discussed doing the recipes, I tried to choose recipes that were also, kind of healthy. You don't have to put a lot of lettuce in this salad if you don't want to, but that's how I'm going to do it because it's intended to be more like a salad. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut up some romaine lettuce. In the store, one like shopping tip is when you're shopping for vegetables or even fruit, if you buy things like whole like this and cut it up, you save money. It may be a little bit more time consuming, but you can save $1, $2, sometimes $3. It's always cheaper to buy whole and cut them up yourself. When you buy stuff like already cut up, you're just paying for convenience. That's the only difference. So that's how I'll try to shop. Plus, I just like to cook, so it's fun to me. All right, so I'm gonna do 1 head of romaine lettuce. I'm gonna rinse this off, and then I'm gonna dry it with a paper towel. And I'm gonna rinse it off in cold water. Whenever you're rinsing lettuce, you wanna use cold water because it keeps the lettuce crispy. If you rinse it with warm water, it's gonna wilt the lettuce and almost begin to cook it. So rinse your lettuce off with ice cold water. Oh, my sandal, hold up. Okay. Okay, now that I have it rinsed, I'm gonna dry it off.
I'm gonna bring it over here and watch how she's drying it. So she's just patting
And I'm just gonna pat it dry with the paper towel. I'm gonna press down, pat it dry. Okay. Now I'm gonna pick up my knife. This is called a chef's knife. Just some tips when you're cooking with your knife. The sharper your knife, the better your cut is, and the safer it is. When you're cutting with a dull knife, it's hard to cut your food, and you risk the chance of hurting yourself a lot more than if the knife was sharp. So you can go to a Walmart, you can get a knife sharpener, and just keep it in your I'm doing dangerous stuff. You can get a knife sharpener, keep that in your drawers in your kitchen, and just sharpen your knives ever so often. Also, you don't want to leave them in water. You know how sometimes when you cook, you just throw them in the water after you finish. You don't want to do that for one because that's dangerous. Because sometimes you can't see in the water, but also letting them sit in water dulls the knife. So just keep that in mind about your knives. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut downward on the lettuce, straight down the middle, right here. We're gonna flip it over and we're gonna cut downward one more time. And then we're gonna take the knife and we're gonna cut across. I'm gonna cut this maybe about an inch across, so the lettuce looks about that wide. And as I'm cutting, I'm gonna tuck my fingers like this. You always want to tuck your fingers so you don't cut yourself. And I'm just gonna move my hand back as I cut. You can also, when your fingers are tucked like this, you can also use your fingers as a guide of how thick you're cutting your food, because your knuckles is it is the guide. Alrighty, so I'm gonna mix this up some, and then I'm gonna place it on my plate in the very center. And I want to kind of build this up to give it a little height. Okay. So here's the lettuce. I'm gonna put my remaining lettuce in a bowl for later. Okay, So now I want to cut my onion. So one of the cool things about an onion, everybody knows when you cut onions, your eyes water, but there's a way to kind of avoid that. They may water a little bit, but it won't be as bad. So when you cut your onion, this part right here, this bottom part where I don't even really know what this is, but anyway, this part is what releases those chemicals or whatever that cause your eyes to water. So you don't want to cut this off while you're cutting your onion. What you want to do is you want to cut your onion in half. Like this. You want to go ahead and peel it. Peel your onion. I usually peel mine about 2 to 3 layers down. Because I don't like any rubbery textured stuff going on. Okay. You may have to wash your knife off a little bit. Okay. You want to cut this piece off. And then what you want to do is you want to take your knife and you want to cut lines starting from about right here down. Right here down. And this is called dicing. We're going to dice our onion. Okay? You don't want to start all the way at this part. You want to come up some and you just want to cut down. And then after we cut downward, we're going to turn it and then we're going to cut this way. Like this. And that's going to dice our onion for us. So fingers tucked, don't forget that. Okay, and now that that part is done, we're just gonna take the knife and go the opposite way. Just like this. There we have a diced onion. And my eyes aren't watering. And yours probably are not either. All right. So I'm gonna take some of my onion and I'm gonna kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna place it on my salad in a corner. I like a lot of onion. I don't know about you guys. And we're finished with that. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and wash off my cutting board because of the onion. I'm going to rinse that off. All right, so I chose these small cherry tomatoes. If you have a large tomato, let me see if I have a big tomato in the fridge. Hold on one second. Okay, I don't. But cutting a large tomato is just rinsing it off, cutting the tomato down the middle, placing it flat like this, and then cutting long ways and then cutting the opposite way. And that's how you would cut a large tomato. But for these little cherry tomatoes, we're just gonna wash these off and cut them in half. right. So I have a smaller knife. Now, this is called a paring knife. I'm going to take it, cut it in half, and place it on my salad. Cut it in half and place it on my salad. Another dope thing about this recipe, you guys, is that you're getting a lot of vegetables in the recipe. We got tomatoes, we got onions, we have corn and black beans. Go ahead and open your can if you haven't already. Whenever I open a can, I always rinse off the top with a little soap and water. You never know what, you just never know. So I will rinse off the can, open your cans, and then you just want to add your vegetables onto your salad.
Hey, Judiece.
Uh-huh.
A lot of our chefs got frozen corn. Can you tell them how long they need to warm it up for?
Yes, it's in a bag. It's like okay. So about 3 minutes. Is it like the microwavable bags or?
I'm not sure. Some people got different things. It was based on availability.
Okay. So if you have the microwavable bags, I would do about, just do about 4 to 5 minutes to be safe. If you do not have the microwavable bag, take your corn, put it in a bowl, and place a little bit of water in the bowl and pop it in the microwave, and do it also for about 5 minutes. And then afterwards, just drain any water off of the corn. And I'll give you guys a second to do that. And while I'm waiting, I'm just gonna start cleaning up. Try to clean up as you go, so at the end you won't have so much to clean up. Nobody really likes having to clean up after eating a meal. You know, you just kind of want to sit. This is the perfect time to wipe down your oven. Make you some dishwater if you need to. Wipe down your counters, especially if you had your ground beef sitting on the counter. You know, wipe that spot down. You never know, maybe some blood or something from the packaging. When I was buying the beef, y'all, at Walmart, I picked up a package and it had blood all on the bottom of it. So you just never know. Okay, you guys. So if your corn should be close to being thawed. You don't. I mean, it doesn't have to be warm. You just want it to be completely thawed out. And at this point, we're gonna go ahead and add the corn and the black beans to the salad. Also, when you open your black beans, you want to rinse them off. You want to drain all the juice, and you want to rinse that stuff off. So I'm just gonna add my black beans. And now we're gonna add corn. Okay. This is what we're going for so far. All right, and now I'm gonna add my ground beef. So I'm gonna grab my skillet, bring it over here. I'm gonna go ahead and add my beef to my salad. Okay. And I have cheese. I got some Mexican style cheese from Aldi's. My cheese came from Aldi's. My sour cream, my salsa, all my vegetables came from Aldi's. The tomatoes, the black beans, and the beans were like 49 cents. The lettuce was like it was I want to say like $2.19 or something like that. And these chips came from Aldi's too. These are veggie and flaxseed corn tortilla chips. They look good, so we're gonna see what they're talking about. All right, so we want to go ahead and add our cheese. Nice little amount of cheese, like that. And let's add some sour cream and some salsa. Y'all, I think when you scoop the sour cream out of the container with a spoon and you plop it on top, it's called a dollop. That was always funny to me. Okay, a little dollop of sour cream. And we're gonna do some salsa. Set that to the side. And we're gonna open our chips. And I just want to crunch some of these on top of my salad. Like that. Right in the middle. It kind of just creates a little taco salad pyramid. And this is what it looks like.
Ooh.
You got plenty of vegetables. You got actually 2 proteins, your beans and your beef, 3 proteins, and cheese. You have a starch or 2 starches, your chips and your corn. And so, yeah, that was the recipe, guys. How's everybody coming along? If you have your plate finished, you can show it. Mix this up a little bit and try it. I feel good. Was I supposed to do that too?
Yeah.
It's okay. I can make another plate.
Okay, yeah, you do that. Just give me a nice little glamour shot of your finished plate.
Look, I done dug into it already. Yeah.
Well, it is lunchtime, so I understand.
Okay. All right, you guys. So I just wanted to talk to you real quick. From what I understand, the theme of camp this year is Survivor, and I just wanted to encourage you because in life we all go through things. Nobody's life is necessarily easy. Everyone has things that they have to endure and make it through. I don't want to say that you just go through it. You make it through it and you can be better on the other side of whatever it is you go through if you don't give up. So part of my story and the things that I've been through range from losing my parents, like my whole family at a young age, to dealing with depression and anxiety and just some mental things, to dealing with alcoholism. And I'm on the other side of those things. I'm not perfect, but I survived. And there's about 3 things that I try to keep in mind, and that I want you guys to keep in mind about surviving. And the first thing is that you are not defined by what you go through. Those things, you just went through them, but they aren't who you are. Because I think a lot of times, when we go through things, we get stuck in those things that we go through, and we think that those things define us. Sometimes we tend to constantly identify with those things, but foster care is just something that you have gone through. That's not exactly who you are. You losing your parents, or dealing with depression or anxiety, or whatever it is. Those are just things that you go through. But your identity and who you are is completely separate. Your identity is more so of your character. Your identity is more so of who God says you are, first and foremost. I'm not trying to preach at you guys, but I would really encourage you at a young age to really get connected to a church and learn to seek God and have a relationship with God, because that will help you too. Secondly, I want to put emphasis on life is not easy. Not to glorify that, but I feel like with this younger generation, myself included, well, I don't know, I'm somewhere in between, like in the middle. I'm like almost like the older generation, but then I'm still kind of young at the same time. But my point is, I think sometimes we expect things to be easy and that we're never going to go through anything, but that's not reality, and that's never been promised. So when you do go through things, know that you're not alone, and know that it's just a part of life. Don't beat yourself up about that, because we all go through things. But just keep going. Take things one step at a time. If you ever feel like you get to a point where you don't want to go forward anymore, because I've been there. I know how that feels. Do what you can in the moment. Do what you can for that day, and just put one step in front of the other and keep going. Okay, don't ever give up. And then lastly, everything that you go through is going to be to help somebody else. That's one of the cool things about life. Nothing is just, you don't go through things just for no reason. A lot of times it's so you can help someone else. And you can help someone else while you're going through it. You can help someone else on the other side of it. But ultimately, you're going to be able to help someone else. So you can feel good about that. That makes me feel good sometimes, So yeah, I just wanted to encourage you guys in that, in this area of being a survivor, and yeah. So does anybody have any questions at this point about the recipe or about anything, regarding what I just said? How's everybody coming along?
Good.
Good.
Oh, well, I'm the only one left in the kitchen. Everybody else is eating, so.
Well, so it must be good then.
Right?
Your bun is cute.
Thank you.
Miss Kenosha, where's your plate?
My husband's really good. I want to eat later. I ate breakfast late. I had a tortilla.
I ate breakfast late too, but I did finish my plate.
I made a tortilla.
Very much. There I am.
Yay. Ooh, that looks
Okay,
good.
good looking.
How about you? You got your plate? You good?
Trying to figure out how that. Oh, there it is.
I just want to see
looks good too.
I just want to see Mr. Bill's plate.
Oh yeah. What you talking about, Mr. Bill?
Shoot. This
Well,
was my breakfast, or this was my lunch right here.
Yeah, that's not tacos.
That's not tacos at all.
Yeah, I know.
So
this was
first
my
off,
lunch.
Mr. Bill used turkey meat because my wife says I got to watch what I eat. Okay, but look,
Yes.
He's older. Translation: He's older and has high cholesterol. Next.
I eat turkey all the time too.
Oh, that looks good.
Yours looks good, Bill.
what?
That's a big old plate, both.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I won't eat all that. But hey, I had to make it look good.
Please share with someone, sir.
I'm at home by myself.
That's it.
Right. Does anybody else want to share their plate? I'm seeing. What about lip? I don't know if she can hear me. I saw her at one point. Hey, girl. Hey, there you go. How did it go?
I made everything, but I don't have it all on one plate because it's going to be for me and my two little siblings.
Okay.
Hey.
That was sweet. That looks good. Okay.
Bill, you're on mute. You see how she said she was gonna share hers? And you just
Good job. Good job. That was great.
Okay. So final call for questions for Judiece. All right, we're gonna let you guys enjoy your lunch. Thanks for cooking with us today. And we have another session right here in this room at 1 o'clock with our financial planner. She's going to be teaching us how to budget our money effectively at 1 o'clock right here in this room. Everything else is on your schedule. If you don't want to keep up with those reminders, follow us on Facebook. We have a reminder popping up every time we're about to begin another session. And there's only one change on the schedule that we sent on your boxes, and that's our session with the music producer. We didn't have a time for that because his schedule is crazy, but he's going to be on at 5 o'clock today. So you can add that to your schedule. And again, the reminder will be posted on Facebook. So we'll see you back here at 1. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your lunch.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
thanks so much, Judiece. I enjoyed it.